Hey everyone, it's Jordan from Fish Keeping Made Easy, and today we're going to give you a care guide on the pearl cichlid, aka Geophagus Brasiliensis. Now, before we start, this fish is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardiest fish I have ever come across. So just to start, they're originally from South America, so you'll find them in Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay and Argentina. They're found in rivers, lakes and even in brackish lagoons and estuaries. However, people have said they've spotted them on coastlines, so these fish definitely have grown some kind of salt tolerance. Due to factors including irresponsible fish keepers, these fish are now found in the wild in places such as United States, Australia, the Philippines and Taiwan. This again shows how adaptive these fish actually are. They can tolerate various different water conditions, not to mention they can also survive in temperatures as low as 10 degrees Celsius. So what I'm trying to say is I believe these might be one of the hardiest fish of all time. But in an aquarium, it's recommended to keep them in fresh water with a pH range of 6 to 8 and a temperature between 21 to 26 degrees Celsius. I personally keep mine at 24 degrees Celsius and they seem to do really well. Despite its current scientific classification, this cichlid does not actually have that much in common with the true earth eaters, and it's very likely it will be removed from the Geophagus genus at some point, but trust me, they definitely do love to dig. So what should its aquarium look like? These fish can grow over 30 centimeters in length. Now, mine's is getting pretty close to that, and females can grow around half that size, so I would recommend at least 200 or 250 litres to accommodate that size. A soft sand substrate is definitely something I would recommend. Mine enjoys sifting through the sand for leftover food and just seems in general to enjoy digging. When these fish are younger, they do really well in planted tanks, but obviously as they get older, they will simply just uproot these plants. When older, these fish are quite destructive and enjoy eating plants and in general just moving things around the aquarium. But if you want to keep a planted tank, I would recommend hardier plants with more leathery leaves like Anubias, Java ferns and some mosses, as these can simply just be glued or attached to the hardscape. But really, I think you can just decorate the tank however you like, as they don't seem to act any different with different scaping. So a lot of people ask how many of these you should actually keep in a tank. Well, I would recommend either keeping just one, a pair or a group of at least 5 or 6. Now, my experience with them was I bought 3 because that's all the shop had at the time. For the first year or so they were great, but I ended up having 2 males and 1 female, so the males ended up fighting over the female, but I think if I had 3 males they would have been completely fine, but we will talk about breeding a little bit further in this video. The other question I get asked the most is what tank mates would I recommend keeping with these fish? Now, they are pretty peaceful to a certain extent, however they will eat any fish they can fit in their mouths, and that is definitely coming from experience. Mine's ate a Pandagara, one of my pistogrammas and a whole bunch of Otocinclus. So I would really only recommend larger fish, so other large cichlids, plex, large cories, large tetra and barbs. Basically anything under 10 centimeters or a long thin fish would be at risk to be eaten. Mine's is housed with Amazon puffers, a fire eel, blue phantom plex and some emerald catfish. So in terms of diet, no joke, this fish will eat absolutely anything. When they're younger and smaller, all flakes, pellets and frozen foods will do great. As they grow larger, I would start supplementing them with earthworms, mealworms and river shrimp because they are pretty large fish. I combine this with a large cichlid pellet to ensure they're getting a good mixed diet. So finally, let's talk about breeding these fish. Now, first off, these fish are extremely easy to breed. The only issue is they're almost impossible to tell the difference between until they're grown adults. Even then, the only obvious difference is their size. Even the fish sometimes themselves aren't great at telling the difference between males and females, as sometimes 2 females or 2 males can pair up. So people do suggest flat rocks for the females to lay their eggs on. Mine's bred twice, and as you can see from the footage, they actually used a coconut shell, so I would suggest having both flat rocks and caves. Other than this, making sure they're just well fed and you actually have a male and a female. There isn't much to actually breeding these guys. The water conditions when I bred mine were a temperature of 24 degrees and a pH of 6.4, but I don't really think these numbers are that significant given how wide ranging the water conditions are for these fish. So thank you for watching this video. I hope this helped, and if you enjoy these care guides, we do plenty of them, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and I will see you in the next one.